My friend Brent Woods, and that's not his real name, who was in the band Wildside in the 80s, and he was a Vince Neil's guitarist in his solo band. He was on the first, or on the second Vince Neil solo album after he left Motley the first time. He was telling me how I should take lessons from Randy, and he's a great guitar teacher. So I decided when Randy came back after recording the Blizzard of Oz album, he came back to Burbank and gave lessons for a short amount of time, and I took some lessons from him then. And then he went back to England to, I guess, record Diary of a Madman and tour. So that's when I took lessons from him. But I saw him around town a few times. I took pictures of him for a Photoshop or photo class in Burbank High. Well, I'm going to explain this picture that you're seeing. It's I was trying to take some pictures, just different various pictures for a photo class in high school, and I was walking up the street, and there was Randy in his car, his little what was it, a Carnegie? I can't remember what it was, but I ran up and took a picture. It's him looking outside out his car window, and actually someone else has got the negative to that too, or had it, and I think they tried to claim it's theirs, but I'm the one that took it. His Burbank High picture, he was in continuation school because he wanted to get out, get his diploma and graduate early so he can give guitar lessons full time. And when they were tearing down the building, I got in there and borrowed Randy's file, and so I have his high school picture. He's got a little mustache. He was a big influence on me as a guitarist, especially when I took lessons from him. He would always say, don't learn anybody else's style, develop your own. And he goes, a problem with people when they learn a lot of covers, they tend to not develop their own style. So me being, me, I didn't learn any covers hardly at all, and I just started writing my own songs, and I have my own style, good or bad, it's mine. And he was very classically influenced. One of his main influences, as you could hear in some of the Ozzy songs, is Dick Wagner, who was with Alice Cooper. And that was a big influence of Randy's, and me too, because I loved Alice Cooper. So you can hear that, and especially Diary of a Madman, that album, and that song. Well, this guitar was put out, I think, about 10 years ago in '97 by Jackson Guitars, and it was going to have a run of, I think, 250 guitars, but I don't even know if they did that, or 300. This is number 3 of that run, and I got it in '97, and I had it signed. This is Ozzy Osbourne's signature. This is Randy's mom, Dolores Rhodes. Actually, it's a funny story, the Ozzy signature, because he was doing an album signing with Black Sabbath at Tower Records in Hollywood, and I just brought the plate, and they had a big sign saying, don't give any of the band anything else to sign except for the CD. So I finally get up there, and I give him the CD to sign, then I slip the plate to him, and Ozzy was the first one in the line of tables, and Ozzy picks up the plate, looks at it, throws it back behind his shoulder, and it bounced off his son's head. Boing! And I'm like, Ozzy, what the heck, man? I just spent $2,000 on this guitar. I wanted you to sign the plate. And he's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I go, that plate I just gave you was a plate on the guitar. I got Randy Rhodes' Polka Dot V that they put out. And he's like, oh yeah, you bought Randy's Polka Dot V. I go, no, not his actual guitar, the one that they're putting out now, that Jackson put out. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So he reaches back, and his son gives him the plate, and he signs it. And everybody in the band, like Tony Iommi's pointing at Ozzy and laughing, and he's pointing at me and laughing. And I'm like, whatever. So I walked outside, and everybody's like, dude, Ozzy talked to you. And I'm like, great. But like I said, this is number 3 of that run. I think they only made 150 of these. And it's spotless, not a scratch on it. This one is a 1982 San Dimas Randy Rhodes model that I had painted. It's got his little trademark Randy Rhodes thing there, and it's Actually, I had this in a guitar shop, and Steve Vai wanted to buy this. He thought it was very cool. But when Randy Rhoads was killed in the plane accident, word spread really quick through Burbank High and all through the city. And the day of the funeral, 90% of Burbank High cut class to go to the funeral, which is at a Lutheran church down the street about a mile away. And there's a plaque there dedicated to Randy at the church. And I, of course, along with 90% of Burbank High and Burroughs, the other high school in Burbank, went to the funeral, and everybody was there. Guys from Quiet Riot and Ozzy. Ozzy was there, obviously. He was one of the pallbearers, I think. And Rudy Sarzo and Kevin DuBrow, and a lot of people, a lot of rock stars were there. I don't even remember. It was overwhelming. But a lot of people showed up to that, and it was a good fitting funeral for Randy. I mean, he left Burbank, the hometown hero, and rose to fame really quick, and put out 2 albums with Ozzy that did very well, and actually was, I think, the basis for Ozzy's success, his career, for those 2 albums, the Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. But the funeral was definitely something. A lot of people turned out for that. There were 2 big guitar players in Hollywood band scene in the mid and late 70s, and that was Randy Rhoads and Edward Van Halen. And as we all know, Eddie Van Halen is more of a natural type, like crazy sounds and all his, but Randy was more classically influenced, and that, I think it was classier. How's that? than Eddie was. But they actually played together a few times. They played in I think in Pasadena. They did a few shows at Starwood, I think. I don't know if they did play together or not, Quiet Riot and Van Halen, but they did. I just don't know if it was at the Starwood. But it was fun to watch them both. First Edward Van Halen getting his or Van Halen being signed and taken off, and then watching Randy finally with Ozzy become famous. And he shot up quick. He won guitar awards, and for Guitar Player magazine, Guitar Player of the Year. All this stuff just happened so quick, and of course the design of this guitar and this one. I mean, this was just a Flying V, but his original one made by Carl Sandoval. But this was original, that shape, which eventually Robin Crosby of Rat had made into a V, and it was called the King V because that was Robin's nickname, King. And Robin was a good guy too. He stopped me from stealing a sign on Motley Crue's dressing room door once. And I was just a punk kid, and I'm stealing that sign. No, you lose. That's what he said. And that was kind of funny. When I would show up for guitar lessons with Randy, it was at his mom's music store or studio in North Hollywood called Musonia. And we'd just go into this little room, and then he'd have a little practice amp. I can't remember what kind it was, if it was a Fender or an Ampeg or something, and he would sit there and play, which chord progression or which scales he wanted me to learn, and then I would, try to play it along and then take it home and learn it for that week. But he was always very patient. When I started taking lessons from Randy Rhoads, I was about 15, 16 years old. It was in 1980 when he came back after recording the Blizzard of Oz album. He gave lessons for a short amount of time then. But the lessons, he was always very nice, very patient, and he'd always tell you, practice, 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 and develop your own style and technique, and try not to copy people.